Okay,
And
so we're laughing, and I have a question for her. So, were we mistreated as children, or are we over treating kids now? And I say that to say because we were just I was showing her a funny reel that I have been watching and it brought back so many childhood memories. And the one memory that I thought of when I was watching this, and it was on an Instagram thing, it was about the dodgeball. And I don't know any of you that are my age or below, we used to have the rubber dodgeball that, and the way the girl talks about it, that was, you could smell the rubber coming at you. And when it hit you,
Smack.
it clobbered you. I mean, it was horrible. I mean, I never liked to play dodgeball in school, but that was a famous game. And I never got picked. I was never one of the first ones to get picked because I was over there in the corner, like going, maybe if they forget me. But I mean, no.
I wanted to be out there. Give me the ball.
And you probably didn't mind getting hit or anything because you probably did throw it right back. But
oh yes, it's like catch this ball.
And like she says on here, it's a comic reel, but it was so funny because nobody cared. PE teachers were handing them to you, telling you to throw them.
Oh, you just keep talking a second. We got to protect ourselves on this one. So, because we just don't want to get too carried away and not.
Because nowadays, if you do not have the Nerf balls, people will not play with you. And we didn't have Nerf balls back then, people. We had, yes. And I really need a mask. See, I would be the one that would need the mask and everything.
This is in case we got to have hard hats for this. Because that's why all the kids have to play now, basically.
Well, they do, right? They have to, but we did not grow up that way. I don't know how you grew up. You probably grew up even rougher than I did.
We did. How much?
Y'all probably played stick ball and stuff in the streets.
Are you kidding? We played swords with sticks.
And
nobody have these Nerf swords. We were sword fighting, and
nobody was telling you don't run with sticks or anything. They didn't. They didn't care, did they?
The boys in the neighborhood made their own scooters.
Out of what?
Well, you take the old roller skates, that you cranked onto your shoes.
Okay, now this is really dating back, people. All right, well, she's talking about that kind of skate. Let me see if I can find one and show you.
So you take the skate apart, and you take a board, and the board was not too wide. 4 inches, maybe like a 2x4, and you screw that skate onto there.
Yeah, because I used to have those. I'm trying to find it.
4 wheels, and you got your board, and then they had
like that.
Yep, those are the roller skates.
These are the roller skates, people. Mm-hmm. These are the old roller skates that we initially had when we were kids. You put those on you, and you.
I got a key someplace still for those.
And you put them on you wear your shoes with them.
Mm-hmm. Didn't work on sneakers too well. The sneakers just kept going. So you had to have some shoes with
or bare feet.
Bare feet. No, big out shoes. So you take those apart, and you screwed one on each end of the board. The boards are probably, about 2 feet. And then if you're lucky, you could get a wooden crate. And you screwed a crate on the front. You see where I'm going here? We got our scooter going. And then you take 2 other boards and you screw them on the crate so you got handles.
Okay, so let me interrupt you because now these kids are out there working with tools unsupervised.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's the beginning of it, which parents would not allow nowadays.
Yeah, you play with your screwdrivers. I mean, we got in trouble with screwdrivers. They're fun to throw in the air and watch them stick in the ground.
Not now. You can't see.
You're in so much trouble now. So now you got a scooter. I didn't make one.
But you rode them?
Oh, yeah. And I'm riding the scooter. Now, I probably was about 9 or 10. I fell. And that handle went right into my ribs. Hurt. Did I tell my parents? No.
Because then they would not have let you play again.
Then I wouldn't try that again. So that was just, no. I probably broke a rib, knocked it off. We survived. Didn't say a word. Because my mom would have probably yelled for weeks. I told you to take it off. So, nope, I wanted to play with it. Would our kids do that? Probably not. But if our son maybe wanted to make something like that, I'd make sure I wrapped the handles.
Well, and Chapel and his friend was all the time going, once the internet came and stuff, he was all the time looking up stuff for them to try and do. So they made some things and they did some things that were dangerous, but they did survive. But, you know, the point is nobody was really, like I said, supervising us
We
totally.
had hammers and nails.
And when they said go outside and play, they meant go outside and don't come
Get
back.
out of the house, and I don't want to see you until
Till
I
it's
call
dark.
for you.
Yeah, until exactly. And I
Yeah,
mean,
don't come in.
and if you ran in and out,
Oh, you get in trouble.
you get no.
No, you come in, you stay in. You go
Exactly.
out, you stay out.
And it wasn't like, well, I'm thirsty. Well, you need to
reason.
go around and get
You
something
gotta go
out
to
of the
bathroom.
water.
Okay, go to the bathroom, wash your hands, get back out.
But you go to the water hose to get water.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, you never came back in to get a drink or anything, because if you came back in, you probably never see your friends again that night.
And you came up with your own games.
Yes, it was all the imagination stuff. I mean,
did you ever smack flies with rubber bands?
No, my husband's been telling us stories about what he did, but no, we didn't smack flies with rubber bands.
It was really kind of fun.
He used to tie strings to mayflies and then let them fly. And my grandson and I, we were sitting there. Yeah, we were like, what? We were like, what year? Where were you born? I mean,
we were bored, but we figured out things to make us.
In one of the places we lived in Hawaii, we had of course, I grew up on an Air Force base, but at this particular Air Force base, there was this tree down at the end of like where all these houses were set up and everything. So we'd all go gather down there, and then you climb the tree, and then you sit and talk, or you'd find a way to you play the red light, green light, or it was all kinds of games that
roller skating.
Mother May I, roller skating.
We used to roller skate around the block.
Think about though, nowadays most people will not allow their kids to go very far from them. But we used to I could ride my bike to the pool. I could ride my bike uptown and go get mama some milk or something.
We rode
and put it back in my basket.
The little town of Watkins or walked. We were all over that town.
Yeah, mama would say, go get me some milk. And I'd put it in my little basket because I had it on the front of my bike and everything. And so we'd run up, and you felt so grony and so big.
And I remember telling somebody, we ride the bikes, and you get kind of, if you didn't go swimming in the lake and you didn't go up in the pool, because the pool went in the state park went up later. But if you didn't go swimming down to the lake, then you'd ride your bike. Now, we have like 18 streets in the town. So we'd ride all over town. You find a car that was leaking oil. It was lots of fun. And you follow that oil till you found the car. We had to use our imaginations. We were bored. But it was fun. Because it was like, think of it this way. What are you learning? You're learning to observe tracking. You're tracking something.
Mm-hmm.
You're learning how to track something.
Mm-hmm.
And you followed that. And it was fun. Or you'd start whistling to a bird and see if you could find the bird by whistling back. So we would entertain ourselves.
Well, I think, too, you're learning how to be independent because you're learning to make decisions. Now, that's not to say that everything worked out perfectly.
Oh,
things happen and people got hurt, but,
you scraped a lot of knees. You fell off your bikes.
I broke a leg, yeah.
We didn't have helmets. The only thing you had is you had a guard for the chain. If you had like blue jeans or something, you had this little metal guard that went around your pant leg. I might have that someplace. It's probably worth a lot.
I didn't even have that.
Or rubber band worked too.
Yeah, maybe so.
You didn't want, especially
you didn't want it to get caught.
Yeah, you didn't want to get caught. And invariably, your chain would come off, and you'd have to stop and figure out how to turn the wheel and get it started and get it.
But you were taught those things, and you learned, and you were taught how to pump your own tires up and to do.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I mean,
you get your friend, they're standing on it, and you're pumping it with the hand. Yeah.
It was, when you think back about it and stuff. I mean, we are the way we are because of the way we were allowed to process and do, and I don't know. But it was just interesting. She brought up another thing too in this, and I'll have to pull it up because you really need to go listen to her. She's funny. We did have I had a metal lunchbox. And I'm sure it rusted. I mean, but nobody cared about that at that point. And and you didn't have coolers to put all your stuff in at that time. They weren't sending ice packs with you
No,
in
we
your
had
lunches.
no ice packs.
So you had the pack and you were drinking a hot drink and you were eating, but nobody thought about it. I don't remember ever thinking about it.
No, we had, I don't know if you remember, the base was a little metal box. And then it came up plastic all the way up to the top with little plastic handles. It looked like a bag with a box in the bottom.
Okay.
But it was a bag.
That's what yours looked like?
Yeah, I had one of those. They don't stay well when snowballs are thrown. Because the plastic gets very cold and the snowball ends up inside your lunch pail. I had that happen. That guy still ticks me off to this day. Anyway, so yeah, we had that, or paper bags.
And don't you think
paper bags?
And yeah, a lot of paper bags, those little lunch bags and
Yep.
stuff. And then, and like I said, some kind of thermos for your drink.
I was
and
gonna
then,
say the little metal box, and then you had the matching thermos. And don't break it, because that thermos was lined with glass. It was silver.
it was.
It was silver, and it was glass lined, and that was the only way you'd have a cold drink.
Mama would make Kool-Aid or put fruit punch or do some lemonade or
I don't remember
something.
what I had.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, it was, I don't know. I just don't remember. And girls were treated just like boys on the playground.
Oh,
I mean, I don't remember being treated just because you were a girl. If we were playing ball outside, you got hit just as hard as the
boys.
As the boys.
Yeah. Sometimes we hit the boys harder.
I gotta
Just to
see.
keep them in line.
I'm gonna see if I can find her name.
Nobody cared if we were bored.
Let me see.
You're bored?
Her name it's well, it says Karen Morgan Comedy.
Okay.
And it was on Grown and Flown. But anyway, it was just really funny. I have to give her the credit. But when I saw this, I was like, okay, I know Ash is going to remember some of this and laugh too. I mean, if we were bored, it was our own fault.
That's right.
And nobody tried to pacify you. Oh, no.
If I said to my mom, I'm bored, she'd tell me go clean something.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, no. Or if you fake being sick.
Oh.
God forbid you fake being sick.
Oh, yeah, and they found out or something.
I went to school one time, I was in 9th grade. And all these spots all over. Teacher came over, she says, do you have measles? I don't know. I think I did. My mom just sent me to school. Hey, do you feel good enough? You go to school.
Yeah, because unless you were dying.
Oh, yeah, I had pneumonia. Usually, that was a different story.
They usually didn't like, I mean, yeah, you were usually, no. And we had to do our own homework. I mean, nobody helped me with homework or did anything.
Table. We did it at the kitchen table. So that.
Well, I could do mine in my room, but I had a desk and everything. But but there was no. It was like you were going to do it. I mean, there was no questions asked. I mean, there was no even thought that you weren't doing because if it ever got back to your parents that you hadn't done your homework, like you got a note or something, I can't even imagine what it would. I don't even.
My father was not as an Italian father, and some women say, oh, my father was not strict.
Your mama probably was.
My mama was strict. Mama was strict. Dad, however, did expect good grades. I forget what I got one time, like a 94. He says, couldn't you get higher? I looked at him like, really? You're not happy with it?
I know. See, my mom was like that too. It was an A-. My mother was not Italian, but she was like an A-. She was like, what are you going to do about this? And my dad looked at me and he said, did you do the best you could do, K-Bo? And I said, well, yeah, it's an A-. And he was like, then I think you need to leave her alone.
I was in 8th grade science. And I had quite the science teacher. And I was quiet, believe it or not.
No, really?
I was quiet. Yeah, I was quiet.
I figured you would be a...
No, and I didn't raise my hand a lot. And he gave me a 75. And he put down comments like I don't participate. Well, the thing is, if you got the answer wrong, he'd whack you with rude. And I just particularly didn't like that brutality. I'm sorry. Because if I'm... then I'm not going to answer that question. Nope, not going to. I like my hands, thank you. He did. I mean, really. Oh, that's.
And see, nowadays, what would we do if
Oh my
teachers
gosh,
did
we'd
that?
sue him. He's like, I'm going to sue you. That's what so my mom was so upset she ripped my report card.
She didn't sign it and return
She
it?
had to tape it back, and then she called him. Now, it's a small town, so I knew where he lived too. Well, she got that because she doesn't participate. That was the last time I got that grade. Because he wasn't basing the grade on my work, because my work wasn't bad. He was basing it just because I was quiet.
Well, I mean, half the class probably didn't participate with that.
Why would we want to? And to this day, I'm thinking about the man, I still don't like him. Because he was an arrogant teacher. One of those that I did not want to model myself after when I went into teaching. Because there are some of those. They're in it for a different reason. Because some of them are bullies. I'm sorry to say.
It's true.
But some are bullies. They like the work time because you get summers off and you can do some other work and make more money. So they like that, get all the holidays off. So I think some of them were in it for the wrong reason. You have to be in it for the right reason.
But we didn't always go home and tell our parents either about what was going
you get
on.
in trouble twice.
Because back then, the teachers were considered the adults, and adults were always respected. So automatically, the adult was assumed to be correct until proven incorrect.
That's
So,
right. That's right.
you know, so it takes it takes
I have a head issue. Pops off my head.
it takes you working together to figure out what the problem is, because like you said, there are some teachers that are bullies, there are some kids that are just bad, there are some miscommunications. But no, we didn't go home and, if we had, it was just school. I mean, whether it was good, bad, or indifferent,
You went to school.
you just went to school. I mean, it was just expected. You just didn't get a choice. It was,
Well, you probably went to a small school. I don't know.
well, different places it was bigger.
Yeah, depending on.
Yeah.
See, our school was small. Our class graduating, we were the baby boomers after the war. So our class had 130, almost 40. So that was a big class.
That's good, yeah.
So you know everybody and you know all the teachers and they're in your community and stuff. And the teachers know who you are. They know who the rich kids are, who the social ones are. And in some cases, some teachers graded you accordingly.
Clicks.
Oh, yes. And I was just telling our seniors workout that there's one woman who graduated with us, and she lives maybe an hour and a half away. And we've talked to her, we've been to a couple of reunions. Oh, yeah, we'll have to get together and we'll have to Facebook. Never happened. Because I wasn't in that clique, if you know what I mean. Okay. I was in the other clique. and it's sad that adults are still in that mind mode. Because some of us hid, you don't really know our abilities and our capabilities. And as we mature, we have gotten to those. So you really don't know who I am now. You really didn't know me then either, because I never said to him, but you didn't know me then.
And some of what you went through also helped make you who you are.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, well, I don't want to be this person, or some people are this person because of what they went through. So maybe they bully now. So, I mean,
It's
but even as humans now, we tend to gravitate towards people that are like us. And
I think so. Look at how well we get along. We laugh together. We think alike. There's quite a few years difference between the two of us.
Yes.
I could have been your teacher. That's scary, isn't it? But, true. And
I don't like going in the woods, and she does. We have things that we're not alike on.
I have a godchild that's older than you. It's just like, yes, gee, I'm older than dirt. Maybe the dirt under my fingernail. But that's true. And it is because I think of the way we were raised. And I'd like to think that our children have an independent thought process without being observe, assess, and react to your surroundings. You can't believe everything you read. And that sometimes people, I've noticed this in that other board that I'm on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's a few young ones there saying, oh, that. I'm like, did you actually hear that conversation? Did you actually see that take place? Because if you did not actually hear it, or you did not actually see it, and you didn't investigate it, then don't bring it up.
Well, and I'm always one to do not take someone's, they say you're judged by sometimes your first impression, but give somebody a break because you don't know what might have happened to cause that person. Now, if they act the same way the second time, then probably they're going to be there.
I was always very quiet. It wasn't because I was being arrogant or snooty. I was just quiet. I was putting my toe in the water, doing that. I wanted to see basically what I'm getting into. And that's what I still do now, really. So I always observe, assess, and react. And I think maybe it's because growing up, I learned that if I didn't do that, there were consequences.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oops, I should have done this first.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was my choice or something else that somebody did.
That's part of what you learn, though, because of the way
Yeah.
you were able to come up. You could make some of these mistakes and choices because
right.
it's like, yeah, maybe I should have told mom on this one, or maybe I should have just, maybe I should, maybe we should have not done this. But you were,
You're a product of your experiences, really. You are. And it's how you develop from those experiences.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of ways of looking at it. It's different roads, just like your paths.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the Almighty has set a path for some of us, or for all of us.
Yeah, I do too. I do believe we're here for a purpose. We're here for a purpose.
You can follow that path, or you can knock heads with it, and eventually I think you come back around.
I do believe that, yes, he is patient. He allows sometimes that little veering off, but eventually he's going to help you to get back to where you need to be and stuff. But
if you are aware of that,
if you're seeking it,
if you're like, wait a minute, and I guess that's my philosophy of believing in miracles, and sometimes something will happen, and then wait a minute, that turned out for the best.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And see, in my faith, like some things have happened, and stuff here recently, even like with the car and stuff. I mean, and the first year initially, and then I'm like, wait a minute, Lord, it didn't surprise you. I said, so whatever it turns out to be, you're going to see us through it, and we're going to move on from there. I mean, but I have to sometimes grab myself back. I call snatching it back. I had to snatch myself back to get and go, okay, get your mind right.
You sat back and observed. You sat back, wait a minute.
Well, the Bible talks about renewing your mind. And you have to renew your mind. And sometimes that human part really wants to get carried away in the emotional part. And then you have to go, wait a minute, renew your mind, jump back, and let's calm down and think about it. Mm-hmm.
Sit back, relax. I forget, there was something the other day that happened. I'm like, oh my gosh, that happened. And then, well, it was a good thing it happened because of that, we got this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And because you wouldn't have that. And that does happen.
And it's not to say that you like everything that happens, no. And, but you just have to look at the bigger plan and just go, okay, well, we can't change this.
Sometimes
now let's figure out a way.
It. Like the time I smashed my fingernail. I sat and laughed. Better crying it. Hysteria.
Well, I was thinking about, when you were talking, I was thinking about the book. I don't know if you've ever read it or not, about how to win friends and influence people. But anyway, one of the areas in that book, I'm pretty sure I'm pulling it from the correct book and all, but it talks about how a lot of times when you're getting to know people and stuff, if you let other people talk, then you learn about them.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. And that's what we need to do more of, is that we need to understand where people are coming from. And then I think we can bridge some of the gaps. Because maybe somebody has had an experience. And so they're automatically thinking, oh, okay, well, you're going to treat me the same way. And it's like, no, I don't plan on doing like a bad teacher.
That's right. Oh,
Let's look at a bad
Mhm.
teacher. Okay. I mean, I've had some bad teachers. And so you can go into your next class thinking, oh, Lord. Or you can go in and go, okay, oh, that one was bad, but let's see how this goes. But, not prejudging, not.
Well, you can have, and this has happened, like, oh, I don't want that one as a teacher. She's really strict. So, I loved that person. You know why? Treated everybody exactly the same and was an excellent teacher. Didn't put up with personalities, didn't matter who your parents were, did not matter. You are a student in front of that teacher. Now, when I was teaching, you might have siblings. Well, one sibling might be a real little diablo, a little devil. And then, of course, you get the next one, and they said, oh, you had my brother. And they're like, you're going to judge me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And you can't. You just sit down. Don't worry about it. Because it's completely different.
Yeah, because what about my husband, his sister was the brainiac. And he was the one that came on, and he had a little devil in him, but he had to study, whereas she could just look at it and go. So then they would expect him to be that same way, and when he wasn't, they were like, you're not your sister, and he's like,
no, I'm not.
So he can work.
It's like Matilda, I have a thingy. I'm a girl.
I think this was a fun subject.
This was fun, and sitting here with
as we sit here with our hard hats on, because in this world now we have to wear these. In our world we grew up in, it was like this.
Oh no, it was like this.
If you got bonked on the head, you got bonked.
No.
I mean, I've gotten hit in the head with balls here and my arm and everything.
Oh, I was in college and we were playing. It was baseball, and that ball, I was on first base, and that ball was flying to my face, and I went, and I caught it because I played a lot of catch with my father. And of course, it was a drinking game, so they bought me a whole cup of beer because I caught that ball. And I didn't really, so I conveniently put it on the ground and knocked it over. Because it's water, the grass, and beer.
Another way we're opposite. She's very athletic. Me, I'll sit there and cheer for you.
Okay.
In fact, we're going to cheer for you to have a great week.
Yes, you too.
All right. We'll talk to you
Bye.
later. Bye.